Hello, this is Mike with another video for the fantasy football version of Draft Buddy. And I'm not exactly sure what to call this video. This is going to be kind of a quirks and tips about using Draft Buddy on a Mac, Microsoft Excel for Mac, and in this case, the latest version of Excel, Office 365. I've noticed some things are not working 100% as I would like on this newer version of Excel because, once again, Microsoft has, in air quotes, improved it. But let's work through this stuff and maybe make changes I make to the file after going through this, and we'll release a new version. But for now, let's get you using version 1 of Draft Buddy 2016 as best you can in the newest version of Mac Excel. This will help other, older versions of Excel, especially on a Mac. We'll see some things here too. All right. So, anyways, this is what I'm looking at here is open a new file in Office Excel 365 for a Mac, and it's giving me an option to pull a file off of my OneDrive account, which I don't even use. That's the default, and or on my Mac. I still call me old school, but I like the hard drive. Okay, so let me open up the latest version of Draft Buddy, which I can find right down here. We are in 2016, version 1.0, right there. There it is, right there. And open. The thing I noticed immediately about this version of Excel is that it's slower than an older version. If you still have your older version of Excel, whether on Mac or Windows, I might be inclined to stick with that because this 365 version, whether it's connecting to the cloud constantly or whatever, it does seem somewhat slower. That's the same process as usual. Open the file, click Enable Macros, and still opening. Okay. Window is excessively small here, so let me move this over and make it bigger. You can see what's going on. This is the typical start screen for Draft Buddy. Just a reminder to enable macros in case you haven't already, but you should get that prompt to enable macros when you open it. We'll click Enable Content up here. Now, usually it would move you up to the top of this tab, on the Rules tab, which it doesn't do it automatically in this version. So that's a little annoying, but I do believe the macros are all working here now that I've enabled them. And the first thing I noticed here is the compile cheat sheet runs the process, but doesn't necessarily update everything the way it's supposed to. Now it seems that a second time doing it does update it, but the one time through does not. So let's start with an update. All right. In fact, I think it's just if you update projections and then compile cheat sheets, then it doesn't necessarily update the cheat sheets appropriately. If I just did it straight away, then it should work. In fact, let's test this out. All right. So here are the cheat sheets as the file's open. This is kind of the default. These projections are not the most up-to-date right here because these are not the latest changes. You see Philip Rivers is a down, Elliott is an up, Matt Forte is a down, Deion Lewis is an up, Brandon Marshall is a down. Those are not the latest changes on this file because we just ran an update yesterday, and Le'Veon Bell, for example, 4-game suspension, he's dropped down. Ryan Fitzpatrick officially signed with the Jets, he's moved up. So, I don't have the latest update here, but let's try something. Let's try this. Let's change the scoring. Oh, heck, I don't know. Let's give 1 point for receptions. All right, that's a simple one. So we'll give that to running backs. We'll give that to wide receivers. Everything I do with this seems a little bit slow. And I'm running this video as well to capture the screen, so that's probably not helping things on my own computer. Go in there. 1 for receptions for tight ends. Okay, so if you look at the cheat sheets on the offense tab, David Johnson heads up running backs 238 points. Antonio Brown 237 points. Okay, that with the reception points, these are too low. So typically what we would do is we would go to the action tab, hit compile cheat sheets, which I'm going to do right now, and we should see those changes. Let's see if it works like it's supposed to in this version of Mac Excel. One thing I also noticed on the Mac, I think older or newer versions, it doesn't necessarily update these steps along the way like you're supposed to. It's nice and clean on a Windows version. It kind of tells you how you're doing along the way. Source position tabs, determine the select players, etc., create the cheat sheets. These different steps here, so you kind of see that it's working. The Mac, less obvious that it's working because it doesn't seem to want to update those things. You see that Excel is doing something, but it's not kind of showing you the progress. Here's the blank screen. We can see down here on the bottom where it's calculating, doing some steps in the process. Okay. All right. Okay, so these did update properly. Okay, we can see here. So Antonio Brown now has 355 fantasy points projected. David Johnson has 304 projected fantasy points. So the cheat sheets did update. There's the offense. Here's the overall. Okay, and that's great. Now, what I think the problem is on this version in particular is that if I update projections and then hit compile cheat sheets at the end of that process, then it doesn't update the cheat sheets. So let's try that. Right? I'm going to click check for update. A projection update is available from fftoday.com. Would you like to update projections now? Yes, of course. Let's do that. And I get a blank screen. All right. So again, excuse me. It is updating. It's running through the process of doing the update, but we've kind of always had this trouble on a Mac a little bit where it doesn't want to kind of show you the progress the way I want to show it to you along the way. Like on the Windows version, I think if you have any familiarity with macros in Excel or Word perhaps, then there's a lot of like screen flashing, running through different tabs, updating things, and you see it all. But I've got in the programming, I've got a method of reducing that screen flicker, but updating the progress on that action tab. So you can kind of see how it's progressing through. On a Mac, it's kind of, not even half wants to do it right. Like it just doesn't want to, it's not doing the flickering, but it doesn't show any of the progress either. It doesn't want to update that quickly enough, perhaps. So we can see again at the bottom here that it's connecting to the web, retrieving data, making a bunch of connections to fftoday.com to get the updated projections. And so it is working, but it looks like you have a blank screen. So you just need to be patient. It does take a couple minutes. Again, I'm finding this version of Mac somewhat slower. Okay, there, it did the update. So it's prompting me now to compile cheat sheets because I've updated projections. Do I want those new projections reflected in the cheat sheets? Well, of course I would. So if I hit yes here, okay, it's going to go through the same compile cheat sheets method that we did before. Kind of the same thing as saying no, and then if I hit no, and then I click the compile cheat sheets button here. What I believe what's going to happen here is that the cheat sheets are going to look kind of messy. This video is getting a little bit longer than we would like, of course, with all this process running, but for the to fully demonstrate, I guess we'll kind of go with it. I will do a couple more tips and quirks about Mac version of Draft Buddy and the Mac version of Excel once we get through this compile cheat sheets issue. Well, you saw that flash up. That was just a little message saying, hey, Excel's not responding. That's your computer, your operating system saying, hey, this program's not responding. It is working. It just seems to the operating system that it's not responding because it's taking so long to run through that process. Really, so if you get some kind of thing, some kind of message like that, where it's asking you, do you want to quit Excel? Do you want to quit this? Don't quit it just yet. Ignore that message. Say no, don't quit. Let it run through. Make sure that you have given sufficient time for the process to run through. Okay, so compile cheat sheets is done. And you can see that, as mentioned, the cheat sheets are a mess. Drew Brees is ranked number 1, which isn't that crazy, but Matt Hasselbeck number 2 and Peyton Manning number 3 is pretty crazy. Darren Sproles number 1 running back, Reggie Wayne number 1 wide receiver. Really, these players are listed in order that they're in our database by each position. All right, so this is a joke. This is not right at all. But I have a simple fix. All right, like I said, you only run into this problem when you update projections and then compile cheat sheets right after. And I think I even sent it to a customer, file to a customer the other day, and totally forgot about this. And had done the same thing, and he gets it and said, "What's going on? Why is Darren Sproles number 1?" All we have to do is hit compile cheat sheets again, because we saw the first time I ran it through, it worked. All right, so the projections are updated. All the data's in there properly. It just didn't sort the position tabs properly, or I guess the detail when it made the cheat sheets. Right? It didn't sort them by fancy points, that's for sure. And I'm going to work on fixing this in the program. But for those using version 1.0 for now, until I can get it fixed and make sure everything works, all you need to do is, when that happens, hit compile cheat sheets a second time. This will work. If it worked faster, that'd be great. So it's responding right now. Okay, and then so pop that message for me again. Didn't even have to hit it. Then it was responding. Then it's fine. Okay, maybe getting faster, or I'm getting more patient. I don't know. Here are the cheat sheets. Okay, and now they look better. All right. Remember, I said that the first time we ran this through, the projections were updated. Now we can see some changes. Ryan Fitzpatrick's up. Le'Veon Bell is down. Jordy Nelson is down. So that is the latest update that was pushed through at the end of July. The cheat sheets are appropriately ordered now. So you just had an extra step. You had to hit compile cheat sheets twice, or maybe even updating projections, hitting no on the prompt and hitting compile cheat sheets. That might do it, but definitely if your cheat sheets are not ordered correctly, your best bet is to go back to the action tab, hit compile cheat sheets again, and then it should update. If it doesn't update after the second run through, something's still messed up, like you're getting fancy points of 0, or they're showing an error message, perhaps. Something's probably wrong with the scoring tab or somewhere else. Then you can email me, then we can figure it out. Okay? At this point, I think I will cut off this video, since we've run through, it's gone a bit long, running through the compile cheat sheets issue, and I'll make a second video with some other ideas, tips, and that type of thing using the Mac. All right, so sign off here and check out part 2.